Half the shots you're about to see were shot on a $4,000 camera setup, and the other half, a $1,200 iPhone. Let's see if you can spot the difference. For the past week, I've been testing the iPhone 17 Pro to see if it could actually replace my full-fledged camera setup, the Sony A7C II, my daily driver camera, and what I'm currently recording this on. I'll be comparing the iPhone 17 Pro against the A7C II on a few different key kind of areas. So first up will be photography. How good of an image can this thing take? Video, including low light performance. It's a different sensor size. How does this hold up? And of course, even things like real-world use cases about the portability, the size, ease of use, all of that. So if you're interested, stay tuned. But before we do that, hi, I'm Justin. If you first time you're meeting me, I make videos about travel, life in New York, and sometimes some photography and tech stuff as well. So if you're interested, hit the subscribe button. But without further ado, let's get into the video. Start off with photography. So how good of an image can the iPhone take? So headline overall, 48 megapixels on the 0.5, 1, and 4x lenses, and 12 on the 2 and 8. It's digitally cropped. And when you compare that to something like the A7C II, which has 33 megapixels, you might be thinking, well, wait, doesn't that mean the iPhone takes a better photo? More megapixels does not always mean it's a better image. So let's look at the sensor size. So the image sensor on the iPhone is 1/1.28 inches, which roughly translates out to about 72 square millimeters. And when you compare that to a full frame sensor, which is the A7C II, the full frame sensor is 12 times bigger than this. And even when you talk about an APS-C camera, it is about 4 to 5 times, depending on the actual size of the sensor, larger than this. So that just means that they can collect light better and the quality of the image is going to be higher than here, even though this has higher megapixels. That being said, this is fantastic. And the only thing I really want to point out here, besides that it does take a great image, is that iPhones, they've had this issue, at least in my experience, is that the images come out a little hot, a little overexposed, so I always have to bring it down a little bit, lower the exposure a bit, and I feel like the image quality gets so much better. So yeah, it's not an iPhone thing. The other thing worth noting is that for the iPhone, you do have 3 lenses, the 0.5, 1, and 4. Now, I would say treat these like prime lenses. Try not to go in too much in between if you're trying to get the highest possible image. So you're talking about, you get 48 megapixels at 0.5, 1, and 4, but you're gonna get cropped down to about 12 megapixels at 2 and 8 because it's a digital zoom. Now, maybe you caught this, but I did talk about dynamic range. And of course, a full frame sensor like the A7C II is going to perform much better than the iPhone sensor. So if you are doing a lot of low light photography, the iPhone, it'll be fine. It does have night mode and all of that, but honestly, this is where a full frame camera or even like an APS-C sensor will basically just really outperform a phone. Let's move on to video, which has quickly become like one of my most important features in any phone or camera. And I think it's become a lot more important for a lot of other people as well, as content creation and stuff like that has just become more and more common. So overall in the video, this is 4K. It gives you a great image, similar to a camera. Similar to what was happening with photos is that it will come out a bit sharp and it will also, be a little overexposed maybe on the highlights. So again, just bring it down maybe to like 0.3, 0.7. That's kind of where I sit in terms of exposure. And of course, if you're going into lower light, you can just goose it back up to even. There are a few cool features on the iPhone. So first up, I want to talk about the stabilization. So action mode was actually really incredible. Did not expect it. I know there's in past phones as well, but it seemed to have gotten way better on the 17 Pro, at least in my experience. It really feels like you're walking with a gimbal. And the Sony A7C II, it does have standard stabilization as well as active stabilization, and it's really good too. But I gotta give it to the iPhone. The action mode is actually better than the active stabilization, which is pretty impressive. Related to stabilization, the front-facing camera on here, it is now a square sensor, and it also got upgraded from 12 to 18 megapixels. But what does that square sensor mean to you in daily use? It basically just means that you can reframe. If you're holding your phone up like this, you can reframe from vertical to horizontal. You still keep 4K, which is incredible. And for someone who's a little awkward like me, I still don't like filming in public as much. It's great because I can hold the phone up like this and it's like I'm on like a FaceTime call and it's recording horizontal. So I can do it for like a vlog, which is awesome. And I love that. The downside though, is that it is not stabilized nearly as well as the back. So yeah, there's only so much you can do. The majority of these shots were shot in a standard profile, whether on the A7C II or on the iPhone. And the whole reason behind this, like my logic was that, for most people, they just want a quick, good looking shot. They probably don't want to shoot in log, then color grade and do all that. It takes a lot of time and effort. So, I wanted to do a comparison about like what people would actually be doing. But I do want to call out that of course there are different profiles like log. So I've shot a few of these clips on S-Log3 and color graded, as well as Apple Log 2, which is the new log profile on the iPhone. And honestly, they're both great. And if you learn how to color grade, like I'm a color grading novice. I try to not get too far into that because I will go down that rabbit hole. And I don't think it's beneficial for me at this point. But yeah, if you're really good at color grading, I think both log profiles will really preserve a lot of dynamic range. They have shot professional movies on iPhones, so it's pretty impressive what even this tiny little thing can do. Now it's time for my favorite phrase of the day to come back into play, and that is dynamic range. And that is where, again, the full frame camera way outperforms the iPhone, at least in my experience, especially in low light. And the A7C Mark II, it's pretty good in low light. I think in log, the dual base is 800 and 3200 ISO. And I don't believe this has a dual base. I'll correct myself in post if it does. That is just where it's gonna get cleaned up. It's gonna be better in low light. It's gonna have more details, less noise. The iPhone tries, it's not bad. It'll get the job done, but just on a full frame camera, it's just so much better. Something that I think gets overlooked a lot when we're having these types of conversations are like the real world applications of using a phone versus a camera. You could have the highest quality camera possible, but if you don't have it with you, it's not doing you any real good. And the best camera is the camera you have with you. And I don't know about you, but I have my phone on me like all the time. And even throughout this week, I've noticed that even when I don't have my camera, if there's a quick shot that I want to get, I can just whip out my phone, record it, get it done. There's also a practical side to filming, and a big camera draws attention. People notice it, people react to it, and that can change the scene that you're trying to capture. And if you're just on your phone, you're just another tourist, another person taking a photo or taking a video or something. And it feels way less intrusive. I will say is that when you're traveling or recording something on the street, or you're just documenting your day, something like this is way less disruptive than something like a big camera, and that is just worth noting. The last real world use case I want to talk about is just the battery and the storage on this. Honestly, the iPhone 17 Pro, the battery is great, but if you are shooting video a lot, of course it's gonna drain. And with a camera, you can just pop in a new battery, call it a day, keep going. Of course, you have to carry more, but you can kind of continuously shoot a lot easier than something like this. Of course, you can just plug in a backup battery, but it adds bulk, all of that. And when it comes to storage, if you are shooting log on this, it will fill up so fast, especially if you're shooting like a ProRes. There are different things, like if you go into the Final Cut camera app, you can change the codec so it's less bulky, all of that, but you're gonna need external storage if you're shooting log on this consistently. All right, drum roll please. Does the iPhone 17 Pro replace my $4,000 camera setup? And overall, I'll say probably no, but there are a few caveats to this. It's like, what are you using this for? Now, if you're doing just social media, like Instagram, TikTok, stuff like that, this is more than enough. You do not need a full-blown camera for this. It's gonna condense it down to like 1080p anyway, and the iPhone is just still great. It's really nice streamlined workflow. Now that connects over to something like YouTube. If you're just doing more casual vlogs, come with me, stuff like that, the iPhone is great, especially even if you're getting started on your YouTube journey and you just want something that's nice, easy, simple to use. You don't want to get into the world of lenses and dealing with all the manual focus, all of that. The iPhone's fantastic, don't get me wrong. However, if you are trying to up your game a little bit for quality, and or you may just interested, then a camera is gonna be great. It's gonna be way better. So will I be ditching my full camera setup in favor of the iPhone? Not yet. Maybe I'll be making a video in like a year or two saying the iPhone 18 or 19 is incredible. It's so much better than the camera. It's just not there yet. And for me personally, it's really thinking about what is the right tool for the job. If it's quick daily stuff, the iPhone is fantastic for me, but otherwise I just like having the camera, higher quality, better versatility with lenses, all of that. But don't get me wrong, this will still get you incredible footage. If you're just getting started or you don't want to get a full camera setup, this will do wonders. And yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised at the quality of this camera. So yeah, all this said and done, as you've seen all the footage, are you gonna get an iPhone or are you gonna get a camera? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this type of content, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing for this, travel content, life stuff, anything. And as always, thank you for watching.